Yeah, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. on February 19th, 2025. President and Council Chambers for the Ordinance Committee meeting, just for reference. President and Council Chambers is Councilor David Bartley, Councilor Linda Vacan, myself, Councilor Israel Rivera, and Councilor Meg McGrath Smith. Councilor Jenny Rivera, should be on her way. And online, we have Attorney Bissonette, and we have a guest who we'll be recognizing soon. Entertain a motion to take up item 1 on the minutes
Motion
of
to
January
take up
22.
item 1.
Mr. Chair, can I just raise a...
Oh, yes, point of order for Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, thank you to the chair, and just to everybody watching, Councilor Rivera and I are going to wear our hats because it's cold in here. I just, in light of my overreaction at January 8th, I want to personally apologize to every person here, everybody on the TV, and to the fellow city councilors. I had no right to do that. I lost my temper, but it's 15 seconds out of my life. But I want everybody to know that I do apologize sincerely. It was nothing personal, just that's it, okay? So I do apologize, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you. So we entertain a motion for...
Motion to take up item 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Item 1 is the minutes for January 22nd, 2025 meeting. If everyone's had the chance to review them. If not, I'll give you about a minute or so to kind of...
Make a motion that we receive them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You want to take 2 and 3
Motion
together?
to take up items 2 and 3 together as a package
I'll second that.
and open the public hearing.
I'll second that too.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
And then online, we also have at-large Counselor Patty Devine. Thank you for joining us. So item 2 and 3 taken up as a package. Item 2 is a zone change application by Diego Martins and Jeffrey Diaz at 736 Dwight Street for from BL to change from BL to DR to develop properties. And then item 3 is also a zone change application for Diego Martins at 712, 718 Dwight Street for to change the zone from BL to DR to develop properties as well. This was continued from January 22nd. They came in and they had somewhat of a presentation and spoke on the topic. We are still waiting on a recommendation from the planning board, but Mr. Martins, I give you a few minutes to kind of elaborate or add anything if you'd like, any new developments or anything that's happened since then. You have the floor. If not, feel free to let me know.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us again. I'm actually here with my partner, Jeff, but I don't think you guys can see me. I can't seem to turn on my camera. We presented our plan to the planning board, and they seem to be very much in favor. We're just waiting for the recommendation to the Ordinance Committee. We were also just here just in case there were any other questions from your team. We do have a video. I don't know if my Zoom capabilities for this meeting will allow me to share, but we do have a video of a mock-up of what our plan and vision is for the corner of Dwight Street and Walnut. I also sent 3D renditions to, I believe it was Jeff from the Ordinance Committee.
You have these.
Do have those.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe we should have these in the packet
Yep.
already. How long is the
so I
video,
have
just in case?
I do have a video. It was just too large to send via email, so that's why I know for the other meeting I was able to share my screen, but it doesn't seem like I have the capability.
Well, Jeffrey can allow that. How long is the video, just in case?
10 seconds.
Oh,
Mr.
so
Martins?
Jeff. Oh, go ahead.
Are you seeing a promote to panelist invitation right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and, yeah, there you go. And then I can make you a co-host and that will allow you to share.
Whenever you're ready.
Audio.
Oh,
All right,
there it
you should
goes.
yell.
There goes your camera, too.
All right, perfect. Look, I'm live. There we
Ah.
go. So let me try to share my screen. So this would be if you're on Dwight Street on the corner across from the intersection with Walnut. And here we go.
Oh,
So this is
okay.
what we envisioned on putting together. That black and white building in the back's the one we
It's
already
already
did on.
there, yeah. Okay, I see you.
It's a combination of 2 families and 3 families.
I think our only question last time was parking, right, Linda?
Yeah, we did ask.
The reason that they're
last
built on
time.
a higher scale is to allow for more living space under the main floor, so that in case we want to do 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, it increases the livable space while also allowing for safe egress. So basically, what we're asking for is a zone change that will bring it down to from business limited, I think, to downtown residential, because it would allow us to work with different setbacks for these buildings. The lots would be split to allow for a property per each lot. In the event that then these were to go to market for sale, it would allow first-time homebuyers to acquire them, since they can acquire up to 2, 3, and 4 unit complexes, and not just for investor purposes. So this is what I'd like to envision and try to build, myself and Jeff. Yeah, so I just wanted to provide the video and see if anyone had any specific questions.
Councilor Reagan?
Thank you. Thanks for coming on the Zoom. I was just wondering if there were any open questions remaining after your presentation to the planning board, or if that was all checked off okay.
Yeah, there weren't any remaining questions. They were, the only question that was brought up was actually by Jeff from the planning board, who has been helping us kind of go along with this whole process. And his main question was, in switching down to downtown residential for zoning, that we couldn't do 2 buildings on the same parcel.
Oh.
And so he made the point that I need to stress the fact that on each side of the street, when they do become downtown residential, they will be split into 2 lots, allowing for one building per lot.
Okay.
So that was the only question that they had.
So that's an approval not required filing, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, so they originally had said that the recommendation would be ready on Tuesday, but it sounds like it's going to go to the next meeting, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you. Councilor McGrath-Smith?
Thank you. Just responding to some current concerns I know that were shared previously. Can you just please walk me through the parking that's going to be available to all the residents here?
Yeah, so one behind, and it belongs actually to the lot that you see on the left with the 3-family and the 2-family. That piece of property does an L-shaped, and we're currently using that for parking already. So that would be the plan, to add proposed parking there. We also are hoping to use the rear of the buildings on the right for parking. Unfortunately, we don't have enough space to add 2 vehicles per unit, and so we will be requesting, I forget what they call it, but I think it's a special permit or variance for street parking. Yeah, so that's the only other thing that we have to work on and figure out.
Can you tell me how many parking spaces are in that parking lot that you currently have that we're seeing on the screen? And how many residents from are already using it from another building I'm hearing that you own?
Yeah, so that building, well, the black and white on Dwight Street that is kind of being represented here.
Yep.
In the back, there are currently 4 units there that have vehicles. I believe, if I'm counting off the top of my head, I believe I have parking there for 15 cars. They're not all used, but there are currently 4 apartments there that have vehicles.
And if
I
we
can
had,
get numbers, specific numbers, and email them to you if you'd like.
I would really appreciate that. And how many people, if you're having 2 cars per unit, how many car parking spots would you need in total to give to each of the units here?
So there's 5 on each side, so that's 10 units. You're looking for parking for 20 vehicles.
Okay. And you're saying that you have 15 and 4 are currently being used. So there are 11 open, so you can effectively space out and say, like, unit 1 gets this spot, unit 2. You could number them and like permit them specifically 1 per, but effectively you're saying each unit would have to come up with 1 off-street spot on their own where do we imagine they would be parking? What street? And what does off-street parking look like right now there?
So that's a good question. I know that there's currently people parking on the street. I don't know that it's full or how many open spots there are. Now, while I said that we do have parking for about 15 vehicles behind the black and white building that I'll just start to refer to as 714 Dwight Street, you'll see that the drawing does impose that there will be parking off to the right in the rear or the rear of the two family off to the right. I don't know, can you guys see my cursor? So there would be parking placed there. We have not done civil engineered drawings to have specific counts or for vehicles without knowing if this project is something that Holyoke is interested in letting us continue on with. And so I don't have a specific count, but I can get that information for you.
I would really appreciate that. Thank you. And I think the project is very exciting. I really appreciate the streetscaping that you've been thinking through. You know, it's appropriate to the neighborhood. This is, we're really focusing a lot on infill, and a lot of different bodies in the city are working on this. And visually, I think you've done a really nice job of thinking through what the infill is, how it's going to fit into the character of the neighborhood. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Councilor Reagan?
Thank you. So just to follow up on the parking question, I know in our first hearing you had stipulated one parking space per unit. And was the planning board okay with that, understanding the limitations of land down there?
They had no objection.
Thank you.
Real quick for clarification, so where you have the cursor at, right, those houses, the building next to them, that building is abandoned, if I'm correct, right?
On
Currently.
where? Like this
Where
one
the
back here?
cursor is back there?
This here?
No, not that side. I'm looking at the white cursor that you have, right there, that building right there, yep.
I don't think it's abandoned.
No?
I believe that building's
No,
called the
it's not.
Amelia.
It's the one on the next street down, further down.
Yes, the one further
Okay,
down.
so there is parking being used there then from the people that live in that building,
Possibly.
like
I don't know.
on-street parking.
Oh.
That's what I meant. So I mean, for me, just looking at the back of that building and then some of the parking you have here, you might have sufficient parking for like the one car per person. But like if you get the more people that, I mean, you get 2 people, 3 people that have cars, then it becomes crowded. But I mean, that's probably a situation that you get in South Holyoke or the Flats or anywhere else, anyways, when you have a lot of people living in a condensed area. But not to say that parking is not important, because it is. I just wanted to say that. But thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I'm going to make a, well, first of all, just, their veterans are coming here. They're looking for a more restrictive zone than what they have. The plan looks great. And plus they're veterans here. They've been here before. And their investment and the presentation is, I think, well remembered by me. And this is going to be another one. So if the chair wants, I don't know if the chair wants me to, but we can theoretically close the public hearing.
Well, is there anybody
First,
from the
yeah, I was going to say,
Well, after-
first let me just see if there's anyone from the public hearing, but I'm with you on that. I'm on the same page. But if there's anyone online, if there's anyone online or if there's anyone in council chambers, I don't see anyone here that has anything to say or to speak about the potential project, the project, feel free to do so now. I don't see anyone online. And then Councilor Meg McGrath-Smith.
And you've said that planning has closed their meeting, or no?
We are waiting on
Their
just we're waiting on their recommendation so that we can make the final vote. So for now, we just would have to do the public hearing, close the public hearing, receive the recommendation from them, and then we can move forward with the actual vote.
Okay.
That's my understanding. And Jeff, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're in the back.
Yes, I actually spoke with Mr. Burkott today from planning, and he did confirm they closed their public hearing. It's just in order of them actually penning the recommendation letter.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So then I'll entertain the motion.
So moved?
Second.
Counselor Bartley, all in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing is closed, and we will wait for the recommendation from the recommendation letter from the planning board so that we can proceed forward. Thank you, Mr. Martins, again for
Thank you for your
presenting the
investment.
project and coming through, and then also thank you for investing in the community.
Really exciting stuff. Looks good.
Thank you for having us. We're very excited, and we hope to all work together to make this a positive impact for the community and its residents. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
I'll make a motion to take 4 off the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, filed by Councilor Jenny Rivera, order that V-Care on High Street be allocated an additional parking. This request is necessitated by the increase in participants in the operation of the spot. Vans for transportation. Many of these participants are elderly individuals who rely on wheelchairs, electric scooters, and walkers. This action is essential to ensure the safety and accessibility. Jenny, I'll give you the floor for a little bit so that you can elaborate.
Thank you. So this order was originally, well, the order before this one was originally done by past Councilor Gladys LeBron. She originally had requested 2 parking spots and for some reason was only given 1. However, they have gotten, well, I also got a call by Nilka from the mayor's office because the way they have to park now because of their vans being so big for the elderly and the handicap, they literally park at times on the corner of Dwight and High Street. So Nilka could see from her window, and she's afraid that as they come down, somebody will get hit because sometimes as they're parked there, the PVTAs go up Dwight, and when they're turning onto High Street, they get really close to the van, and they cannot park the vans in the back of the parking lot for the Social Security office because they use that, the Social Security office uses that for their employees to park. And so what they're requesting is to get 2 spots, and also there be a signage there so that they could park their vans, because now they have 2 vans, they have much more participants. And like I said, it was originally asked for, but for some reason, years ago, they only allowed them 1. And wherever they park, it's really hard to pull in the van. So they want 2 parkings next to each other so they could just pull in and out with their vans. And it's not a certain time. It's not like they get there at 8 and park there at 8 and then they leave at 2 or 3. They're just constant. The participants come in throughout the day. So that's the reason why. And then I guess they're getting a lot of heat from the parking clerks when they're parked there, and they want them to move because that's not their parking spot. So that is why V-Care was requesting it for the safety of the elderlies, which is also being supported by the mayor's office.
So Councilor Bartley and then Patty, I see you online.
Yeah, I would respectfully oppose this. I was very familiar with the prior vote. It was the exact same argument, and you hear one side of the story when you only hear that argument. And you can put up any kind of crisis pending that you want. Somebody's going to get killed. It's for the elderly. Fact is, they were given 1 parking space. There are tenants there. There are businesses there that have to pay for parking. There's a parking lot around the corner that's controlled by the landlord, owner of the building. I understand it's for Social Security, but they need to work that out. There's parking on Oliver Street. There's a parking garage right next door that maybe they can drop off and they could bring their clientele into the building. Councilor McGivern led this to say, think about the tenants, think about the businesses, think about the other users of the downtown. So we gave them the 1 parking spot, so that took away whatever revenue the city was going to get from that meter, big deal. But now they want a second one. So we said at the time, 1's enough. Now they want 2. In a couple of years, they'll come back for 3 because they've gotten bigger and they got another van. And we're going to hear another argument from another counselor saying that it won't end. And if they want to pay for the parking, then that's another story. But they don't. They want to take away from somebody else's use, and we all know there's other uses there. They don't want to pay anything. They want it for free, and they're not going to give anything back to the city. So give us a parking spot. We'll manufacture any crisis you want. Somebody's going to get, we hear these things. Somebody's going to get killed. The elderly need to, again, now the new one is the administrative assistant looks out her window and sees, I mean, we could go round and round and round on this, but I would humbly ask, now I hope we can get a legal form. I have no problem putting this into legal form so we can at least see it, to see what it is. But in theory, granting them another parking spot, I don't think is the way to go unless they come up with something to help the city out, because so far they haven't. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Devine. I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been by that area many, many times, especially going up Dwight Street, and taking that right turn is very tough when the van has to be there. And if you were to go by that, you would see that some handicapped people are getting out of that van. So they can't rush to get out, and so that parking spot will be free. I really have no problem with 2 parking spots there. There's garages in the area that businesses can park. And I think, like I said, if you were there, if you saw this a lot, there's a lot of people that are elderly and handicapped getting out of that van that really cannot rush to get out of the van. So I agree with Jenny Rivera that they should have 2 parking spots. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bacon.
So I have a question through the chair. I was wondering, in some situations similar to this, we've been able to set up a drop-off time in a certain area that will be marked between the hours of this and that, drop-off parking for 15 minutes or whatever, an amount of time that would give the van enough time to get the person safely off and not be, first of all, jammed up to the corner, but also not taking up the space 24/7. So that has been a compromise that's worked in some places, and I don't know if it would work in this situation or not, but maybe.
That makes sense. Thank you for that, Councilor Bacon. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
Thank you. I was going in the same direction. I was wondering, their current space, is it a permanent space where they're the only ones that have access to it and they permanently park a vehicle there?
Yes and no.
Okay. And I'm sort of, so my other questions are, and then maybe others can weigh in and give me this information, because it would help me to be able to understand what I think about it. How many vehicles do they have? Right, so it's different if they have like one temporary spot, that's what I was thinking too, and they are using that one temporary spot to like constantly be dropping people off, like a loading area, and then they're parking their cars on their own dime elsewhere, because they should be dropping people off, right? Like they shouldn't be parking somewhere and making anybody walk, right? There's a reason why you're going to VCare. So I'm just wondering why they're not using that one space
They are.
as a temporary drop-off location, unless they're somehow,
They are.
let's say they have 5 vans.
I think they have like 3 vans.
Okay.
Maybe, and that's
And
max.
so they
I
really
think they
have
two, it could
like
be
a
3.
lot of situations where like 2 or 3 are pulling up at the exact same time to drop
I've seen
off.
2 at the same time to drop off, where they take up, and that's the thing. This is why and real quick, Jeff, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I wonder if I have very specific recollection of the discussion of this before, so I wonder if it would be appropriate for me to just add in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we
suspend
need
the-
a motion?
Can we suspend the rules to allow our assistant to speak and share his recollection?
Get a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so to Councilor Jenny Rivera's point, they did request 2 spaces before. A lot of the concerns that were expressed at the time were what Councilor Bartley did just express. The folks at VCare at the time participated in those discussions, and a compromise was reached with their approval that they would have 1 space, and it would be from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning, 2:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. And their plan would be that they would alternate their vans so that they only needed 1 space at a time.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, just for me to weigh in, what makes it difficult is the truth is that the service is needed, right? I've driven by and I've seen it. I've seen sometimes the two vans there at the same time. Sometimes I've seen them in one of the parking spaces, and then in the lanes where you're not supposed to be parked in because it blocks the view. So the necessity is there, but I'm kind of on the side of where Councilor Bartley was saying it's kind of not fair to the rest of the businesses, and we have a parking lot where if we could find a place to meet in the middle, right, and if we're meeting in the middle where there is a 2-hour time frame where these two parking spaces they could do pickup and drop off, that's cool, right? But like if they want to park their vans there overnight, they gotta you gotta pay or. Like it's storage. What does Holy Health Center do? I think they have a space, right? But just trying to figure out where we can actually meet in the middle and provide the service for the people, because it would be allocating a space to a particular business. And I just knowing with the meetings, with the handicap meetings or the Disabilities Commission, like we technically are not supposed to do that either, right, on a public street. So like that's the other conundrum we end up running into. But Councilor Bartley and then Councilor Ocasio.
Well, I'll defer to I'll go second.
All right, Councilor Ocasio.
Can the V-Care like change the time to pick up the elderly people at different times, like so like that it won't be both vans or 3 vans show up at the same time, like for the V-Care to change the timing that they're going to pick up the elderly people at the houses, so it won't interact with each other, like they all pick them up at the same time and then drop them off at the same time. Maybe if they like give a little 15 minutes or something to, and then pick up the next batch.
Right. I hear you on that. That does make sense. I think what might make sense, Councilor Rivera, Jenny, right, is if we table this and then we ask for some representatives from V-Care to come in and maybe talk about some of this, so that way some of these questions can be answered from them directly, with regards to how we can find a middle ground at least. Because I would say it would be hard or difficult to just outright say, okay, here's another parking space for you, when other businesses that are kind of struggling down the street with parking on the same situation, and not being able to offer them the same thing. And I understand that the service is different, but the reality is that it's still business, and they have that parking lot in the back that if it's just pick up drop off, I don't understand why it would be an issue to use. But Councilor Bartley, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would prefer to put into legal form myself.
We could do that, yeah.
But and then, because I want to help them, I want them, and I like to hear from them. But how are we going to, Mr. Chair? How are we going to hear from all the businesses and all the tenants and all the users? I mean, you're only going to hear from one side, no matter how if you do it that way. So my opinion is that I have no issues with helping them, but it's got to be on a limited basis. If they want to go beyond it, they can go in and put the quarters in the meter, just like everybody else has to put the quarters in the meter if they want to save the spot for a day. But to put up a band parking for more than what we gave them, I don't think that's fair. But my other thought is, why can't we have a long bus lane right in front of City Hall? Why can't we allow V-Care, because they're public transportation basically, why can't they queue their vans up there, right in front of us, wait for the spots to open, and then slip in, do what they got to do into the free spot to allow the seniors to safely drop off, and the elders to drop off, and the children, whatever. Why can't they use the same bus lane? Because how are they different from a bus? I don't think they are public transportation. So we could set up a system to allow them to park there. So my opinion would be, I hate to table stuff, but I would rather just put this into some kind of legal form so we can look at it, calmly or effectively, and maybe at the same time have the law department come back with a thought or two about using the bus lane.
That makes
the
sense.
V-Care.
But I would still think that they would need to come in to have that.
No, I hear you on that, but
Okay.
I don't want to tell you. I want to get some
No, I got you.
verbiage in front of us.
Councilor Rivera.
So I hear what everyone's saying. However, I can't agree with them parking in the parking lot, having the elderly walk up to V-Care.
That's not what he's saying. That they pull up here.
Mike.
He's saying that they pull up here where the buses stop.
Yeah,
And then
prior to that,
what-
first vote.
that was in the beginning, yeah. It changed, yeah.
So yeah, I don't agree with that. And just knowing that a couple months ago, an elderly leaving on a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair from the Holyoke Health Center, got hit by a vehicle. So is that what we want to do before we could take action right here in V-Care? So maybe, no, we should table it. I say we should table it, have V-Care come in, and then maybe we can have the discussion with them as to what exactly is it that they do not want to pay. And let's get, like, I thought they were going to be called to the meeting so they could speak. But if we could invite them to come in, and then we'll discuss it further while the staff is here. Okay.
Counselor, just real quick, if that's what you want to do, I'm okay with that too, because it's your order, if that's the approach you want to take. But Counselor Bacon, and then I believe it was Bartley, then Meg, or whichever.
I'll defer.
Okay.
I'm fine with tabling it, but I just wanted to suggest that we perhaps invite the neighbors in too, because the thing I'm wary of is if we invite them in and the others have been told previously that they can't have any spaces on a public street,
So,
that I'm just concerned about the pushback later.
yeah, I think, so just for clarification, the inviting in is not necessarily to give them a second parking spot.
Yeah.
It's to find out what a plan is and try to hash something out. So when they come in, if it is, it makes sense to have it, but this is up to Councilor Rivera. If she wants to have the legal language, like Councilor Bartley had referenced, then we could do that. If she doesn't, then we don't. Whichever one, doesn't matter to me. But ultimately, it's just to have them come in and have somewhat of a discourse with us to see what the plan is to help come up with a solution. Councilor Bartley.
So my motion is going to be kind of similar to what she's asking. I'd like to get it in legal form for what they're looking for here. I'd like to get a legal opinion as to whether they can use the bus lane and then we can, and if we agree to that, then the motion would be to table it to such time as you want them from the V-Care people, because we still have a piece of paper to look at. Otherwise, we're just staring at this thing again, and we're in the same spot. So that's my motion.
First, do I hear a second?
Well, I don't want to make a motion to table yet. I just want to, because you can't debate a
He's
motion
not.
to
He's not.
table.
He's not actually making a motion to
I'm
table.
just making a motion.
He's making a motion to get a
Get some legal, put in legal form.
put legal form and to get a
bus
opinion.
stops.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay. Second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Yeah.
I just had something else I wanted to ask.
Well, you can make a motion. Yeah, we're not tabling yet.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say aye 3 and then maybe a maybe for the fourth. And then so now under discussion, Councilor Bacon, and then I go.
Thank you.
I just wanted to.
So
Okay, 4
I
ayes.
just wanted to, so it's not clear to me what they want in this order. So if we're asking for legal form, I guess I'd be inclined to seek it to be similar to the space they already have that allows drop-off at certain times.
Thank you. Yes, you're
Right?
right. You're right.
For now, it does.
Would that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, you're right. That's
Okay.
That's good.
So that
clarification.
it would include drop-off times, but maybe not to be the same as the ones that are already there. Okay. So I'll offer that as an amendment, because they
Second.
want
I'll-
words
yeah.
from us.
Yeah,
Yes.
just put into
Illegal.
words.
So, all so that was the amendment.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the motions that we just approved were Councilor Bartley made the motion that we have it written in legal form, and then Councilor Bacon made the amendment so that way it reflects the original legal form that was created for the first parking space, so that the second parking space, if it is approved, it has the same kind of logistics around the legal form that was originally created. And then also Councilor Bartley filed a motion requesting a legal opinion on whether or not they would be able to use the bus lane to kind of pull up and park and wait until another parking spot opened up for them to pull in to then drop off people. We got that. Perfect. And then Counselor,
My only question was if it, one, I would love to see VCare come in so that we can ask them just how they stage vehicles. How many vehicles are they using? How often are they dropping off? How long do drop-offs happen? If it's just 3 minutes, then that's just, we're going to go around the block and wait till the spot's open. If it's longer than that, then I need to understand the way they're staging and using vehicles. Because maybe there's a simpler solution than we're understanding. But the other thing is, I'm wondering if we need to also send a copy of this to the city engineer for their opinion. I mean, I'm sure maybe the law department will do that legwork for us and reach out to them, but I think that the engineer is the person who would be most knowledgeable on whether or not we're allowed to use a bus lane in that way for a private company.
I agree with that piece. I think there's two pieces here that. So one is I have a question, and Solicitor Bissonnette, could you answer the question that Meg kind of didn't ask, but kind of like threw it out there? Would the law department be able to handle something like that, or should we really address it to the engineer's office?
As Jeffrey relayed, a couple of years ago, there was a hearing that VCare did attend, and this entire topic was discussed. At the time, I don't recall whether Chris was here as the engineer or not, but we did have an engineer at that meeting, if I'm correct. And that this might be a good time to revisit that entire discussion. I don't know, I don't think we got an answer the last time. And this was back when Terry Murphy was mayor, actually. There was a discussion about using the alleyway behind the building. I think there's an exit there, as a possibility for queuing up and for also dropping off or picking up patients. But nobody really explored whether or not what that looks like from the inside and whether it's actually feasible. But I don't think I've ever learned the name of that alleyway. I think we used to call it Bud's Way or something like that, out of respect to the tavern that used to be there. But I think certainly law can handle the ordinance part of it. The question is really what kind of an agreement can be made with V to sort of satisfy all the interest in public parking being available during the workday as well, and to try to facilitate their picking off and dropping up. I think it's a great idea that Meg brought up about getting them in, getting a better definition of their schedule and their routing, and perhaps in that way we can come to some accommodation.
Thank you. So now this leads to my next thing, right? And I'm asking you, Solicitor Bissonnette, with regards to, so because that kind of, not for nothing, that conversation, this whole conversation with VCare coming in, it feels like a DGNR situation. Doesn't really feel like an ordinance situation. We can make the law or the ordinance, but having them come in to have that discussion and explaining and elaborating feels more like a DGNR. So is there a mechanism where I can forward that piece of it with this order to DGNR and have them take it up? Or is that too complicated? So it doesn't matter?
We can do it,
Okay.
or we could refer it.
Yeah, that's what, so I feel like it would be better to refer to DGNR because I mean, it would be easier for them to do that. Yeah, to talk to VCare. We can continue the conversation around the ordinance and the other things, but to send the piece, go ahead, Meg.
So point of order to the solicitor, can we send a copy of the order, but then they can't act on it, right?
No, we can act on the law. They just will bring the people in and have the conversation.
And then they can forward their recommendations to us after they've acted in that way on a copy?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. Sounds great.
So
you want to make the motion?
yes,
Question?
matter of fact, go ahead, Councilor Bissonnette, or City Solicitor Bissonnette.
A new order that would request VCare to come in and discuss the situation. That should go to DGR, and you can keep this in ordinance so that
All right.
you don't have to file a new one or go back to ordinance. If that gets hashed out in DGR, ordinance can then just make a recommendation
Okay.
to the full council.
Okay.
Need their own order.
All right, Counselor Bacon.
Email.
So they would need an order,
Yep,
that's
yep.
all.
All
And-
right.
But they can run side by side, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then, did you want to, real quick, because I hear what I heard earlier was an amendment to add the engineer on
Yeah,
that
I think we should,
opinion.
if we can, a friendly amendment, just to add the engineer in that request, to have.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
And then, can I just make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we have the Ward 7 counselor file the order for the next meeting?
DGR.
You take care of that.
I'm on it.
Is that okay?
Perfect, there we
I'll
go.
make a motion to table if everybody's okay.
second,
Can I send it from the committee?
All in favor?
Aye,
Just from office?
Yes, we can,
Okay with
I mean, yeah, you can
sure.
add on.
I'll make a
names.
motion to take number 5 off the table, please.
All in favor?
I,
Number 5 was filed by Counselor Maldonado Velez at the time, and then Counselor Givner ordered that if someone is putting in an RFP through the city for a property that is up for sale, and the applicant has outstanding issues with the Board of Health, Building Department, or any other city department having to do with other properties they own, that they are not eligible to win the bid for the RFP.
So, Mr. Chair,
Counselor Bartley, go ahead.
I fully support this. I just want to put this into some kind of legal form. I already read the memo. I already see the compliance form. I think this makes tremendous sense, and I have no issues with it whatsoever. It's very similar to what we do before we grant a special permit, right? We go through that whole checklist. Did they pay their taxes, et cetera, all the rest of that stuff? Well, this is very similar to that. It's parallel. So I think the order speaks for itself. I would just like to see it put in legal form, so that's, and sent back to us.
second that.
I hear a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then on the discussion, nobody else kind of to say, because I actually agree with that. I actually got a letter from the purchasing director, from Jamie Morrow, and I'll read it out just so that the public is aware. We are actually in complete agreement with the order filed through the PPG group, Property Preservation Group, and the Real Estate Group, who meet monthly to discuss policy, procedure, and change for properties within the city. We initiated the city compliance sheet that is part of every city property sale, butter sale, auction, etc. Potential submitters must be current on taxes or in payment plan and must not have any BOH or building violations. This compliance form must be fully filled out and submitted with any proposals for property to the city. Failure to submit a completed city compliance form is an automatic dismissal for proposals submitted. I've heard total support for this, so I'm in favor as well. So on the motion, go ahead, Councilor.
A question on the form. So the city compliance form that we have in our packet, is this the revised form that is in response to the order, or is this the current one that needs to be revised
I think it's what they use.
This is
already?
you,
And
yeah.
and can someone just walk me through how it would be revised in response to this order? Like, what would it look like on this form?
Councilor Bacon.
So I think what they would like us to do is formalize this in ordinance,
Yep.
whereas right now it's policy and procedure. So I think they're
Make it
looking
So it's
to
already happening, and the form is-
codify this
Yeah,
in law.
make it rule.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's simple enough.
So the motion is put back in legal form,
Yep.
and then we can table it to review. I
I'll
gotta
second
review
that.
the legal
Yeah.
form.
Second, all in
Respectfully,
favor?
Mike.
Aye.
Aye. So, anyone against, just in case, because I didn't.
No.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. What you mean no? Not know that you don't want legal form?
No, she's not against.
Okay,
it.
you're not
not
against.
against it.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna take that as a one.
It
5.
means yes.
Yes, yeah, you're correct.
Oh, that could get messy fast.
5. So the motion there was to put this into legal form for us to review, and we'll table it for now.
So moved. I'll make a motion to take number 6 off the table, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
My agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir. I'm just looking for my agenda so I can read it. But yes, go ahead.
I realize this is Councilor Rivera's order, and Councilman, I have no issues whatsoever with this, because what's the difference? I mean, I think they just want a little more peace and quiet for a little longer period, for a different period of time. Now, I don't know why it has to go back to 7 a.m. I would say just change it to,
No, they want it.
okay, right now it's 11 to 7, and they want it to be 11 to, 11 to 8. Well, or 10 to 8. No, I want it to be 10 to 8. I would just say put in legal form now. I mean, what's the difference?
Real quick, before we further on, let me read the item first,
All right,
right?
that'd be
So item 6 is order that section 3873-6 of our ordinances be amended for the hours to read 10 p.m. instead of 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. And then, real quick, some contextual background as to what is section 3873 for those that are online.
Noise ordinance.
Noise ordinance, there we go. So we're changing it from 10 to 11 and from 8 a.m. instead to 7 a.m. Councilor Bacon.
Okay, so I'm going to chime in from a different point of view on this. We have people regularly that are out doing their snow blowers before 8 a.m. because they have to go to work. And they would be in violation of the noise ordinance if we change the time.
Well-
As a matter of fact, some of the people that go out earlier now, because the noise ordinance is subjective. So I'm just suggesting we might be creating an unintended problem.
Councilor Bartley.
Right,
Thank you.
so what they really drilled down
Yeah.
to sections for loading and unloading. So it's right now, it's the creation of loud and excessive noise in connection with loading and unloading of any vehicles or the opening and destruction of bales, boxes, and crates and containers.
Oh, that's it?
Bulk waste stuff.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
that's those people,
I guess some of
So I think
I
it's
mean, I remember one of my constituents on Gilman, which Councilor Vera knows runs right by Kmart. Well, those guys would be over there banging those bulk waste containers at 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning.
And then he would call me at 5 in the morning. Obviously, I'm not up, but I would get to see the message. So then so that's
I
what
hear you.
that's what this is about. It's
So-
not about
okay.
snow blowers or doing whatever.
All right. But
Councilor Bacon, go ahead.
And just to follow up, so I've had calls on this very issue, and it's been related to the schools and the people picking up the dumpsters. And they try to get there before school opens. And so the people are upset if they come before 7. If it's changed to 8 and they have to comply with that, I mean, I guess they can, but they've been trying to go and do that when the school is not open.
Well, it's up to
So-
the maker, but I mean, it's up to the maker. I would.
But I'm just saying, I've dealt with these conflicts, and it's a problem, because they were going at 6, you know, when it was 7. But it's gonna create just a different kind of conflict.
Thank you, Councilor Rivera.
Thank you. And thanks, Councilor Bartley, for the clarification on that, which also falls into where Councilor at the time, Jose Maldonado, and I both received calls from the print shop because of the noise coming from Sullivan Steel. The Sullivan Steel, the noise coming from there. And then also, we were getting calls regarding the tenants that live behind, I can't think of, I should know, the truck place that's right there in the flats as well. So that's why they both requested and asked if there was anything we could do with changing that. So it would kind of fall with what Councilor Bartley said.
And Councilor Bacon.
I think the residents would be happy. I just don't know about getting the compliance, you know, I think the residents would say the later the better.
Yeah, I think the piece with the compliance thing, just to be clear, like we probably put the policy or the ordinance. It might make it to the police department. They might know that the ordinance changed. They might not yet. But I think for us, we're trying to
Right.
do what we can where we're at, and here this is what we can do. Hopefully, this gets to the point where we can enforce it at certain levels. But I think it's for us trying to meet in the middle and do what we can. What we're doing.
Well, also,
Councilor. Councilor Bartley, and then
No,
or Councilor Mag.
I'll
Go
defer.
ahead.
but also, if once we have this in legal form and we move it through full council, can't we send a copy to the police department and respectfully ask?
That's true too. Just to make sure that we updated our,
Yeah.
because it might not update a Municode fast enough.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that's
actually what
another
I wanted to say, except I would want to have us get in legal form and send it to the police department before we vote on it.
Okay,
So
perfect.
that way they can get they can
know
give us their
that, yeah.
take.
Yep. I like that.
And then that way there, everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, that's perfect too. Councilor Bacon.
And then notice could go out to the people that will be affected by it, because we know who they are. I mean, at least a good portion of them.
Right. And we would have to send those notices.
Yeah. whatever.
because that's a city, or we're changing the
Who would,
ordinance.
I'm not sure
It-
who would,
I feel like it would have to be the city because we're changing
Yeah.
the ordinance.
right.
Counselor McGrath Smith.
This is this is a potential sidebar, but what you just said made me think about the issue we've been having with Municode and it not being updated, and us not being aware of when it's updated or if it's updated. And similarly to Councillor Bartley's very good idea around the grant reporting becoming a requirement, when do we start making it a requirement that we're notified as a committee that the change has been made in Municode?
So,
And can we
without-
start naming that? And where would we name that?
It's-
Would
it's
that
all-
need to be
it's
a
all great.
standing agenda item? Would that?
I think that would be a conversation for another day. But I
With the
agree with you,
clerk, we'd-
110%.
Naming it as a requirement,
Would
as
be
Yes.
that we need reporting whenever
it
it's
would
been
be a
updated, so
separate
that we
order,
would know.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Your wheels are going, but I got to bring you back.
Well, you just, yeah. Hey,
I got to bring you back. But I'm with you on that. That makes sense. Totally makes sense.
I say we just do it.
So, what would
I'll make a motion to put this in legal form,
Mm-hmm.
to
I'll
come
second-
back
I'll
to
second that
committee
motion.
and send it to the police department for feedback
Right.
on
I'll second that motion.
implementation.
Yep.
Okay,
That's a good
perfect.
motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And then a motion to table.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm gonna make a motion to take number 7 off the table, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 7 was filed by Councilor Bartley. Established by ordinance a minimum sewer fee to be paid to the city upon the sale of any real estate closing. Currently, none exists through a $5 fee. Though a $5 fee was the norm, the present actual rate is $7.50 per 1,000 gallons. Refer to ordinance. Copy Board of Public Works. Oh no, this is the extra. So, Councilor Bartley, you want to kind of elaborate real quick?
I'd be happy to. Thank you to the chair and thank you to.
My bad, I got a chocolate in my mouth.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. So this is all part of a basic real estate closing. So there's always a payoff for the water and sewer rates for every real estate, commercial, residential, industrial, always. So what's happening now in Holyoke, as opposed to other municipalities, sometimes your water bill is $48.12. Sometimes when you call up to get the sewer reading, okay, the calculation comes out to 38 cents. I mean, that is very common, especially with the residential stuff that I do. I don't do the big boys like J.D. Driscoll, but I do a lot of it, and God willing. And then I'll continue. And then I did speak with the clerks, at least 2 of them in the Department of Public Works, and they said, Dave, for 38 cents, we're wasting our time, because for an admin and pull all this stuff together, I said, well, just give me a regular rate, so just give me a minimum so we can establish an ordinance. And she said, how about $7.50? I said, okay. And that way there, everybody doing a residential real estate commercial closing, everybody lawyer's gonna know the minimum in Holyoke is $7.50. None of this, okay. So when they call and get the calculation, it might say, well, it's $1.08, but our minimum $7.50. You know what they're gonna say? Okay. I mean, there's not one lawyer that's going to balk at it, not one. Maybe one, but that's it. I mean, and then when you look up the ordinances, you see that Chapter 90 in our ordinances are sewer use charges, but it was interesting, at Chapter 90-91, it's reserved. So my motion, if everybody's okay with it, again, we're just putting it into legal form. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing, is put into legal form and then just come back with so that we can look at this thing and then go from there. That's all.
So is that a motion?
Oh, yes, my motion, sorry.
I'll second that.
Real
That's
quick
for
before.
$7.50
Right,
minimum.
right, 7.
Yeah, minimum.
That's what we're saying.
So we're not looking to make money, we're just looking to cover the costs for the clerks. That's all they were saying, really, to me.
Right,
They
right,
don't
right.
want to.
Right.
No, that makes
You don't
sense.
want to zing
Costs
anybody.
more. to look it up.
Any time on task, I think it would make sense to try to get as much as you can attributed to it, so that way we're not eating the cost.
Mr. Chair, it covers their costs, because they have to run calculations, they put stuff together, deal with the lawyers,
Makes sense.
It's a thorn.
So I heard a second. All in favor on changing it to 750, or actually establishing a minimum rate? Because it sounds like we don't even have one.
We used to. I don't know what happened to it. But we don't.
okay.
It's not used. It used to be $5, and then now we don't even use. The clerks don't even use that anymore. That's why you get the 38 cents. What?
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll just table it. Motion to table then.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. And then Kevin's orders are
Motion to take up 8 and 9 as a package.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 8 and item 9, both filed by Councilor Jordan. Section 86-6 be updated from $200 to $1,000 for consistency with state law. And then item 9 is ordinance be created that requires the police to report all damages to city property greater than 1,000 from a motor vehicle accident to the city council, mayor, and law department. Further, that the DPW mayor and law department have an affirmative duty to pursue collection action against the insurance carrier and/or operator or other responsible party to make the city whole or damage to city property resulting from motor vehicle accidents. City needs to have an ordinance establishing a policy in this matter to help ensure uniformity of enforcement. Kevin actually sent a communication. I have a lot of paperwork right now, so I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Let me see, is this, so proposing the following simple ordinance to be added, of our ordinances that the states following, the law department is welcome to make edits, that when a motor vehicle accident over 1,000 is reported to the police department pursuant to section 86-6 that involves damage to city property, then the police department shall forthwith notify mayor, law department, and Department of Public Works, of this event. The Department of Public Works, mayor, and law department shall have an affirmative duty to pursue collection action on behalf of the city against the operator, insurance carrier, and other responsible party or parties to make their very best efforts to make the city whole for damage to city property resulting from such motor vehicle accident or event. And then the police department shall annually produce a report to the city council of all motor vehicle accidents involving city property reported to them for city council review. Any questions from any fellow councilors? Councilor Bacon?
I would just say this looks pretty straightforward to me. One part's just updating, and the other is just good order for looking out for the taxpayers' money. And so I would like to make a motion that we request our law department to put it in legal form and make any edits they
second that.
see as needed, and then have it come back to committee.
All in favor?
Aye.
On the discussion, I see Patty's hand first, and I got you, Meg. Councilor Devine?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe I'm old school or something, I'm not sure, but I don't understand why this is our purview. I don't see this as a city council problem. I think that if a city councilor wants to look into damages and things about insurance, go to the law department, but that's the law department's business. And I have a feeling that this has been going on for a long time and that the law department is taking care of it. So again, I'm not trying to cause waves. I just don't get why we're involved in this. We're the legislative branch. To me, this is mayoral and law department. I don't know. I don't need to know this information. I think that the law department does and that the mayor does. And I guess I'm old school on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Devine. Councilor McGrath-Smith?
Thank you. I am thinking about what was the light recently that was hit by a car and taken out, and then we didn't have the funding to be able to replace it. What intersection was that?
It was downtown. I don't remember the street.
Does anyone
You
remember?
talking about Main Street?
So
Yeah,
I
by
think-
Springdale, I think that's.
I think that was the one I was thinking of. So from when I was reading this, I had those kinds of examples in my mind around how are we making sure that we're pursuing damages that we can potentially, use through an insurer in order to then make sure that those things, if they get ruined, are then able to be reinstalled for public safety. So that was sort of where I thought this order was going, and if that's the case, then I fully support it, just as a due diligence mechanism to understand what's
Yeah.
going on in the city.
I don't think it reads, for me, it doesn't read that way specifically. I get where you're getting at. That makes sense. And I think this reads more for our own property, like vehicles. Like, so if,
Wouldn't city property include things like traffic poles or lights?
I think he's referring to vehicles specifically.
Only vehicles?
Drivers must report accidents, Holyoke Ordinance 86-6. So like, I'm not sure, you could be right, it could be poles, but like, to me, to my understanding, it feels like if a police car was crashed and we didn't know, like bringing that to our attention. If the car that the guy that does the animal control guy, if his car is crashed, bringing it to our attention too at the council. That's how I read it, but at the same time, you're not wrong there too as well. Councilor Bacon.
I read it both ways.
Yeah. So.
I hope we take a more expansive view that to include city property that is just, damaged in the process of people's cars
We
hitting
can-
city
and we can-
property.
Once we get the legal form, we can
Good point.
check it out more thoroughly.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I think the question I had, and once we had the legal form, and possibly if Councilor Jordan is present, is like more about like capacity wise with enforcing it and putting it forward. Like I'm with it, but like in ordinance, it feels like you're kind of making it law that they have to. Not to say that we wouldn't want you to, because we do want you to pursue that, but it's just like if someone doesn't have the capacity to be able to do it, or we don't, like I don't want them to be forced to do something when they actually can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So it's just trying to like figure out how we can clean that up. Councilor
if I
Bacon.
may. So annually, the law department is supposed to give us a report
Mm-hmm.
in January on all the different legal matters that have occurred throughout the previous year. And that would just become part of that. And if, say, there was a case where there was no insurance or nowhere to go, then that information would come forth that this happened, we took these steps, but right now, what nobody knows and where there's a lack of information, many stories develop, right?
All right. Councilor Devine?
Yeah, thank you. That poll was at Vernon and Main Street.
Okay.
And I guess my question would be, okay, so we get all this information together. What does the city council do with it? We don't have a daily newspaper. I don't know, I guess I'm just confused by the order. And what's our role as a city council in getting this information, and what do we do next? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Devine. So we made the motion. I think we're just waiting to get the legal language. So for now, we could possibly table it for the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And hopefully at the next meeting, we can get Kevin to kind of.
I'll make a motion to take 10 off the table.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right?
Item 10 was filed by Councilor Givner with community support and in service of our museum goers. Order that Wisteria's museum patron parking signs be added from handicap spaces on Beach to Cabot, creating no less than 3 designated museum parking spaces in addition to existing handicap spaces. So, Councilor Givner, I spoke to her about it briefly. The best way I could say it for me is she's shooting her shot, which means the museum's trying to get some spaces allocated for them, and some of the museum goers. I told her that might be a no-go, but we would try to see what we can get with regards to an opinion from the law department regarding the spaces and allocate them to public spaces, allocating them to specific museum goers. But Councilor Bartley, I know you.
Well, I would oppose this completely. So we already did that. We set aside several spaces 3 years ago. As Kevin eloquently said, the Pine Street side of that building looks like it's got hit by a missile. It still looks like it's been hit by a missile. Nothing's been done about that. and now we're just moving the ball. Get your act together. You got plenty of parking on that side. Maybe if you wanted to, you could use the parking on Pine Street. Maybe you come back for a CPA request and build some stairs or where up there and make it more accessible for people to park over there. I'd be much more interested in that than loading up free parking or designated parking on Beach Street for, and they use it, Mr. Chair, when they have their Flower Fest, what do? I mean, they swamp that whole area anyhow. So, you know, they're getting their way as it is. I don't think you have to make it official and put it in. So that's my take.
Councilor Bacon?
So I may be remembering this incorrectly, but it seems we've had legal advice in the past that we're not supposed to designate public spaces on public streets for a homeowner or a business or anything else because it's a public way. Even a handicap space has to be used by anybody who has a handicap placard, right? And that's been my understanding in the past.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That's been my understanding. It's just that the irony that in like a couple items before this, we're talking about the same thing on High Street.
I know, but we're trying to do a drop-off.
But right, the only thing is that we're taking into consideration that it's elderly here, right? But I'm not gonna lie, at the Wisteria's Museum, a lot of them is elderly too. But I'm not. I know the rules and I get it. And I spoke to Councilor Givner. She is not. She gets it. She understands too. Councilor Bartley, go ahead.
Okay, what were we talking about earlier? Getting creative.
Right. I got what you.
Do a drop.
This is not getting creative. This is
I got
just give us what we want.
I got you. Yeah,
You move those two huge pots they have there, those concrete pots, when they have a big event, let people drop off right in front of the door and then wheel around to go park over on Pine Street or park at the senior center. I mean, come on. But you know, if you want to put into legal form, I'll look at it. If you want that motion, I have no problem with it. But I don't think it's fair.
So what is the will
What
of
did the maker say?
She, I'm gonna be honest. She said that she wanted to. She filed the order, trying to get them, advocating for them to get the spaces. But she also understands that if they can't get it because of what the rules are, it is what it is. It's not. I think. How about we put it into legal form for now, just to entertain it. I'm with you guys with regards to where it's at, and then I'll talk to Councilor Givner, and if it's nothing, then the next time we come back, we'll just
There you go.
Well,
go ahead, Councilor Vick.
so the only thing I would say is, if we really believe we can't do it, why would we want to ask somebody to do the work of putting it in legal form if we think it's not legal? I mean, it just seems like we're making people do work.
Politics?
Well, it just.
Only reason why I'm only saying that is because we're doing it for High
Jenny,
Street.
did I say
But
dirty word?
It's
it
consistent.
is a different situation, though. That's a drop-off. This is like taking up the spaces all
Okay.
the time for somebody. So I do see it
All right,
as
I
a
got you.
different
That
thing.
does make sense.
I would like to make the motion that it's complied with because we took it up, we looked at it, we considered what legal advice we've received in the past on it.
Second. Can I
You know,
second? I'll
that's-
second.
So that would be my motion.
I'll second that motion. No,
That
complied
it's
with.
complied with, because we took it up
Took
and
it up, we had
reviewed
the
it,
conversation.
but we're finding that we can't really do it
Right.
according to the advice we've received.
Wait, my son.
Councilor McGrath.
I really struggle with complied with. I hate it as a term because, like, anyone from the outside, because I've gotten these questions before, are like, "What do you mean you complied with it? You didn't. You didn't do the thing."
But we did though. We talked about it. That's complying with it. Like you can't leave. If you leave to withdraw, it's just literally not. It didn't exist. You know. That's the way I.
But really, so we had the same conversation though when we had the city engineer, the interim when we looked at the traffic orders versus like saying complied things versus we're just rejecting it. We're saying no. Like that's what we're doing. We're saying we want to reject this. We don't think this should happen.
Yes.
Well, we're
So why not
saying we
say-
don't think it can happen, which I think
Right.
is a little different than saying it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I think it's just a polite way of saying we took it up, we didn't ignore it, but
given the constraints of our rules and regulations, we can't do it.
Right.
So to me, it's just more of a polite way of saying we considered it, but we can't do it, instead of saying deny or give leave to withdraw. But those aren't wrong,
Okay.
They're not wrong.
but
I just, when I came on, that's what it was.
Okay.
And it made, to me, the way I hear it when I'm here is we took up your order and we had the conversation. It just didn't work out, I guess.
and we explain it. It's not that it's just a blank
Right, and-
complied with and there's no explanation in the minutes. It gets
I
summarized.
get where you're coming from
But-
with it, though.
You're not wrong, but
Okay.
it could be either. You could amend my motion.
So you can do that if you,
You
want
could.
to.
I second it.
Right, but she could amend it and change it.
Oh.
That's all right. If it's the goal is, to kind of do it in a kinder way,
I think that's the goal.
I can go with
It's
it.
being kind in a way where you kind of can't.
Well, look what we do.
Go ahead.
Well, look what we do for financial transfers, or financial orders from the mayor. We don't say reject it,
Send back to the auditor.
send it back to the auditor.
Well,
We don't, not a flat out no, you lose. No, send it back
It's
to the
just-
auditor. It's just softer.
Yeah. There you go. So yes, on the motion then, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to take 12 off the table. No, I'm sorry, 11 off the table, I'm sorry.
All in favor?
All right.
This one was filed by me.
Edgar, I hit your number by mistake,
Okay.
okay?
How you doing, Patty?
Okay, see you later.
How you doing, Patty?
I thought
How
I
you doing, Patty?
You're in the chamber.
Yeah,
She caught it.
I'm with you. We here. Nah. So item 11 is filed by myself. Order that the Honorable City Council work with the City Solicitor's Office to draft an ordinance prohibiting the discrimination or discriminatory practices based on an individual's or the perception of individuals' race, color, creed, religion, sex, domestic relationship status, parental status, family status, sexual orientation, national origin, gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, criminal history, or the use of service animal. I filed this almost a year ago, so whatever's happening in today's climate has nothing to do with when I filed this, just for everyone's understanding, right? I will ask to table this for now because I'm going to file another order. At the conference, I heard something that was interesting to me that other communities are doing in other states. Around creating, what is it called, core values for their council as a body. So I'll probably file an order around creating core values as something that we can all come together and agree on as core values as a council or as a body, and then follow up with this order after that. Councilor Bacon.
Before you make the motion to table, or before one of us does, I'm just going to have to say, we'll have to add it into the list, political perspectives or beliefs.
Perspectives and beliefs. Sure, I don't mind. Anybody's.
So you want a motion to table?
Yes, motion.
Second,
And then remember that for the next time when you can make
I'll
the
put a
amendment.
note.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
And
you.
motion to take up 12.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 12 was filed by Councilor Bartley. Order that a handicap sign be placed at 15 Davis Street. The sign is requested by Teresa Lewis, and that placard number is PL
Did we,
6980631. I didn't see anything.
nothing?
Not that I know
Jeffrey
of.
might know.
But Jeff, did we get any communication from the Disabilities Commission?
Yes, the chair of the Disabilities Commission did confirm with me that they approved it. There was some brief follow-up I had to do with the applicant just to get a question answered that hadn't been checked off, and the signature was missing, but the applicant came in last week and took care of that.
So everything's under control. Everything's all set.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And everybody have a good night. And thank you.
Good night.
Peace out.